Get out and never come back. My mom's voice rang through the house as she hurled my backpack out onto the lawn like trash. My name is Julia. I'm 26 years old. I work part-time as a substitute teacher and spend my nights studying for graduate school. It's not glamorous, but I've always believed I was building towards something better, something stable, something mine. The worst part wasn't the yelling. It wasn't the sting of her words or the sting of my knees when I knelt to gather my books from the wet grass. It was my father standing in the doorway like a statue, watching, silent. Like always, the neighbors peeked through curtains. One of my younger brothers stood by the window with wide eyes, saying nothing. I think he wanted to help, but he didn't move. No one did. I didn't fight. I didn't beg. I just laughed for years. I'd cooked meals, bought groceries, paid for gas and internet when no one else could. I worked at jobs at one point just to help cover the water bill. And still, I was lazy or ungrateful because I wasn't married yet. Because I dared to have ambition. Because I said no. Once in a while, a week after I left, I returned to pick up some mail. Dinner was on the table, but there wasn't a plate for me. I asked if I should grab one. You don't live here anymore, my mother said. Not even looking up from her soup, my siblings looked between us. No one spoke. I turned and left, stomach hollow. Not from hunger, but something deeper. Once, during a family party, my cousin asked how school was going. Before I could answer, my mom laughed loud, theatrical. She says she's doing a master's, but I still don't see a diploma on the wall. Must be pretend school. Everyone chuckled. My dad smirked into his drink. I laughed too, because what else could I do? I went home that night and cried until my chest hurt. Then I got up, took a deep breath, and pulled out a binder. I started printing pay stubs, text messages, receipts, and bank transfers. All the proof that I'd given, contributed, sacrificed. Not because I wanted to show off or keep score, because I was tired of being erased. The binder grew thicker by the week. I taped receipts into plastic sleeves like evidence in a courtroom. Every Venmo request from my mom. Every Julia, can you cover this? Text from my dad. It felt ridiculous at first, like I was clinging to things that shouldn't need proving. But then I realized, people like my mother count on no one keeping receipts. The turning point came when I confided in Hannah. She'd been my best friend since high school. And I don't know why I waited so long to tell her. Maybe I didn't want to sound like I was complaining. Or maybe I was afraid she'd think I was the problem, just like my mother said. But she didn't. She listened, fully. I steady. No judgment. When I finally stopped talking, she said, "You're not crazy. You're surviving a family that gaslights you. That's not weakness. That's strength." For the first time in months, I believed it might be true. Hannah called a former professor of hers who needed help with tutoring students for fall exams. 2 days later, I had a new side gig. My own clients, my own schedule, no strings, no guilt. And then came the moment I didn't even plan for, but had been building toward all along. It was a Sunday afternoon. I showed up at my parents' house unannounced. My mother opened the door and frowned like I was the mailman carrying bad news. "I just want to talk," I said, calmly. She rolled her eyes. "Make it quick." I sat at the dining table. My father joined us. Reluctant as always, I placed the binder in front of them. Page by page, I showed them every payment I'd made, every ride I gave, every bill I paid, every birthday I funded for my younger siblings when no one else remembered. My mother scoffed at first, called me dramatic, said, "What? Do you want a medal?" But she felt quiet the deeper we went. My father said nothing, but for once, he didn't look away. "I'm not here to ask for thanks," I said. "I'm here to say I'm done begging to be treated like family." And then I left. I didn't slam the door. I didn't cry. I didn't even shake. I just walked out. A week later, my dad called. I let it go to voicemail. "Why don't you visit anymore?" he asked. His voice sounded smaller somehow. I texted back, "It was never home. Not for me." His reply was silence. And for the first time in my life, that silence didn't hurt. It felt peaceful. No more proving. No more waiting for a place at the table. I had my own table now. My new apartment was tiny. Second floor. No elevator. One window that jammed if you opened it too far. But it was mine. I hung fairy lights in the kitchen and bought cheap flowers from the bodega down the street every Saturday. I kept the binder in a drawer, not because I needed to show it anymore, but because it reminded me who I was when no one else did. Hannah and I started working on a tutoring business together. I picked up weekend workshops, online gigs, even led a panel at my university. One of the students called me Professor Julia, and I almost cried. My family never apologized. They still hold dinners I'm not invited to. I still get group texts I don't answer. But last week, my youngest brother sent me a photo of a book I gave him. He dog-eared a page and wrote, "This reminded me of you." I smiled. Maybe someday, bridges will rebuild. Or maybe not. But I'm no longer waiting in the doorway, hoping someone lets me back in. I'm already home.